this is not over. I mean, Mark has had 4 strokes. He has some serious limitations and disabilities now. And life is never going to be what it was before. This is our life now. There's before and after, and we're living in the after. And that takes faith, in my opinion. And I feel like, I could go either become bitter and, oh, woe is me, poor me, my life sucks, But no, that's not where I've gone with it. I have embraced my faith. I feel there's a reason for everything. Welcome to Aging in Style, the podcast dedicated to celebrating aging and what it takes to do it well. I'm Lori Williams. I'm a certified senior advisor and senior housing expert. In each episode, you'll learn stories of older adults who are thriving in their 70s, 80s, 90s, and in some cases in their hundreds. Whether you're an older adult or the child of an older adult, this podcast is filled with insightful resources, organizations that are doing incredible work, and stories that will inspire you to volunteer, learn, and who knows, maybe even skydive in your golden years. Hi, welcome to Aging in Style. I'm so excited that you have tuned in today. If you regularly listen to the podcast, you know that my husband, Mark, had 4 strokes 18 months ago. On Christmas Day, of all days, 2022, he had the first stroke, and then subsequently, he had 3 more strokes. And we have been on a journey of hospitals, rehabs, insurance, nightmares, being an advocate, and being a caregiver. It's been a life-changing journey, of course, and I have written a book about it. And the book is my very first book, and I'm super excited and kind of like in shock still that it's actually in a book format. Like all my thoughts and ideas are there in an actual book. So that's kind of fun, but it's coming out very soon. If you listen to the podcast, I talk a lot about my producer, Anna Xavier, and she is amazing, and I adore her. So Anna challenged me to really go deep and share with y'all kind of like what this has done to me, like how it has changed me as a person. And when you go through something as traumatic, which it is traumatic to see the person you love most have 4 strokes, and then to also see them have 2 seizures. I definitely do not recommend it for anyone. It is traumatic. And for me, for my kids, for my husband, and living through this, there's no way it does not change you as a person. I mean, I'm still the same person I was, but it has changed a lot of things about me. And so I've really been giving it a lot of thought and have kind of left it to the very last minute to actually record the podcast because I wanted it to be very authentic and be very transparent, which I always try to be just totally me with y'all. Whether you know me in person or not, I just always try to be my true authentic self. So that's what you are going to get in this podcast. I'm going to talk about how this has changed me going through this event. So basically, any kind of catastrophic illness, accident, whatever it may be that would happen to someone you love, someone in your family, it is going to just profoundly impact your life. There is no other way around it. And there's always that saying I like to think about that you don't know how strong you are until you have no choice. And I thought about that a lot because I'm in the Dallas area and it's myself, my husband, and our 2 kids and our dog. And our family's all out of state. So it was really me, carrying all of this, but also with fantastic friends and neighbors and family and people who came and helped us and prayed for us and all the wonderful things, which I do have in my book, which is the name of the book is Surrounded by Love, because throughout all of this catastrophic event, we were surrounded in love and truly lifted up by so many people in our lives. And so that is definitely one huge positive that I take away from this experience is that, I'm always an optimist, so I don't want to say people surprised me, but you know what? I was kind of surprised at the level that people came and poured love upon myself and my family, and came and helped us with so many things, and such generosity, like you would just not even believe. So one thought I have here is that it has really strengthened my belief in the goodness in humanity. Okay, another thought that I have on it, I believe that I am more resilient than I was prior to this happening. And again, because of all the challenges, of all the fights you have to have when you are dealing with someone who is so ill. You're dealing with insurance and doctors, hospitals, rehabs. I mean, it's frustrating. It's draining on you. In my case, I was still trying to run a business and take care of my kids, make sure everyone had what they needed. And I was very resilient. And I always knew that I was strong. I've had a lot of things happen in my life, which, I think, and I have this in the book, that I think it actually prepared me to be able to face this challenge. But I would say I'm definitely stronger than I was. I don't want to say hard, because hard is not the word, and bitter is not the word, but I think just like tougher than I was. I just don't have any patience for someone who is not doing their job, or someone who is sort of like BSing with me about something that, especially when it comes to my husband and making sure he is getting the right medicine, the right care, the right tests, the right rehab, everything. I'm tough because I want him to have the best. Another way in thinking about this that has changed me, I really feel like I have greater compassion and empathy. And I've always been, I think, a compassionate person. But when you are now like on this side of things, so like in my business, I am helping people, right? I'm always helping people who are looking for answers. Maybe their loved one's in the hospital and they need to know about rehab, about home health, about, senior living. So I'm always helping them, and I have compassion and empathy for them. And if the mom has dementia and or dad has fallen and broken his hip, I mean, I have total empathy for them. But now, having like stood in their shoes and been in an ICU, seeing my husband taken by helicopter to another hospital, not knowing if he was going to survive, and then all the challenges. I mean, my husband left our home with the first stroke on Christmas Day, 2022. He did not come back to our house until July 2023. And to go through an experience like that, it was so heartbreaking and so stressful every day, so stressful. And it has just truly, I have so much more compassion and empathy for everyone, but especially the people that I am helping through my business. Because when they say, oh, I've been in ICU, sleeping in a chair for 2 days. Yeah, I got you, sister. I understand. I know what that feels like. And so it's not like a club I wish I'd ever joined, but I do feel sort of that bond with other people now that are going through the same or something similar. Another thing, which I think is interesting, I feel like I am a better problem solver now and more likely to try to do something outside my comfort zone. And I think that comes from, not that I was a total princess, but my husband did the outside stuff. He did the bills. I knew what was going on, though. I wasn't like head in the sand kind of thing. I knew about our bills and everything that we had going on. But if there was a spider in the house, you can believe that I would tell him, hey, come over here and kill the spider. And now I'm just like, I'm thinking of this because the other day there was a huge, nasty, big spider in my kitchen. My daughter's freaking out. And I just grabbed a shoe and whacked it. Didn't think anything of it. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. I've really toughened up. Not that that's really an example of a problem-solving skill, but for a problem-solving skill, last year when my husband was still in rehab, I'm telling you, everything broke in my house. And it was always at night, right? So I just got on YouTube. I'm like, I'm going to figure out how to fix the toilet. And I did. I mean, I figured out how to fix those little floater things. I figured out like when it comes loose, the little thingamajiggy comes loose. I mean, I just went on YouTube. I'm like, I'm going to figure this out. There's a lot of times that I will think to myself, something doesn't seem right. What would Mark do? So I feel like it has made me, and sometimes I say this and my kids kind of laugh about this, but I'm like, I really feel like I'm kind of more manly now. Like I feel more like I have my man card now because I will go and try and figure things out, and I will do things that I normally would never have done before. I mean, I still won't go in the attic because I'm scared of the attic, but other things, they have to be done, and there's not a man around to help do it or someone else, then I have to do it. And that's fine. I will woman up and get it done. So that has been one of the ways I think that I have changed and I guess maybe grown up. I can't be the little princess saying, you kill this bug or you help me figure out my car. I mean, in the midst of all this, I got hit in my car and I had $15,000 worth of damage and I had to deal with all that, deal with insurance, which in normal life, I never would have had to deal with that. My husband would have taken care of all of it, but I had to go figure it out and get a rental car and fight the insurance. And it was a nightmare. And, in the rest of the nightmare, it was kind of like never ending. But through all that, because I have no choice, I feel like I can solve pretty much any problem thrown at me now. I will figure it out and I will stay calm too, which is another good thing. Which also brings me to the next way that I feel that I have grown as a person through this experience. My faith in God is deeper than ever. And I feel like when you go through something like this, because this is not over. I mean, Mark has had 4 strokes. He has some serious limitations and disabilities now. And life is never going to be what it was before. This is our life now. There's before and after, and we're living in the after. And that takes faith, in my opinion. And I feel like, I could go either become bitter and, oh, woe is me, poor me, my life sucks, But no, that's not where I've gone with it. I have embraced my faith. I feel there's a reason for everything. I feel like I will one day understand why this was our path, but for now, I just have to have faith. And there were so many times throughout this journey where I literally felt like a weight on my shoulders. Like I could feel it, like just bearing into me and pushing me down. And in those moments, I prayed and I said, God, please, this is too much. You have given me too much. Please take this from me. And I promise you, it lifted. It would lift like almost automatically. And I was like, could breathe and be like, okay, I can do this. I can take another step forward. I can do this. And I honestly don't know what I would have done without faith. And so I'm so thankful that I have faith and that my faith has grown through this. And you may not understand that if you're not a person of faith, but if you are, I think you'll probably get it. And with that, I feel like along with faith, I have always been a person who tried to practice gratitude, and I have continued with that. And I am grateful, and I try to wake up in the morning and think of something that I'm grateful for. And, it could be something so small. It could be like the other day, my husband still goes to rehab, and I have to pack a lunch every morning. And that kind of gets old, packing a lunch every morning, making a sandwich and all that. So my daughter was home and she said, Mom, I'll pack Dad's lunch. And I'm like, oh, thank you so much. I mean, that was such a huge thing. And to me, it's tiny. It's a tiny little thing, but I felt such gratitude. So it's just finding gratitude in just ordinary moments. And I feel like I said, I feel like I always was good at that or tried to do that, but I feel like I'm even more so. I try to just kind of bring myself into the moment and feel grateful for even if it's just waking up or that Mark is in a silly mood or whatever it could be. That's definitely something that I find has changed with me. And that's a positive change. I feel like most things I am trying to focus on are positive, but I would not be transparent with you if I didn't tell you that I do suffer some PTSD. I do have some anxiety. I do have moments where I'll walk into the family room and Mark's in his recliner and I'm checking to make sure he's still breathing. So it's not a great way to live. So, I have to try in those moments to just bring myself into peace, basically, and into the moment and not to overthink, because this is going to be a roller coaster ride the rest of our lives, because first came the strokes, then came seizures, and I don't know what's coming next. But I can't be fearful, and I just can't sit there in that fear and worry about what is going to happen next. Something will, but I have to just stay moment to moment. That's the downside. I mean, I would say definitely have more anxiety than I have ever had. I have to get my mind straight and try to snap out of moments where I just kind of go either back into thinking about some of the things that happen, which writing the book was honestly quite cathartic for me because it let me get the story out and get the feelings out and kind of process through it. I think that was very helpful for me. And of course, this podcast and talking to y'all and sharing my heart with you and my experience. So that's what I have for you. That is what 18 months living this experience, how it has changed me. And I mean, it's good. There's good ways and bad ways, that it has changed me. But I think the good far outweighs the negative. And I just truly just try to continue on, just recognizing the small blessings and just moments of grace that come to me and my family through the midst of this. And I would wish that for anyone else who is going through something similar. I hope that what I share is helping you. And I hope that what I've shared in the book will help people who have a loved one who's either had a stroke or a significant catastrophic health event, because I really try to pour out my feelings and what helped me and how what I've gone through can help someone else. So that's what I have for you today. I hope this was interesting and enlightening. And I hope if you know someone going through something like this, please share the podcast with them and get ready for the book because it's coming very soon. And I'm excited about it. I'm excited about the opportunity to perhaps help someone else, maybe prevent someone from having a stroke, and just sharing our story. So thank you so much for listening, and please share this podcast. Go and listen to all of our other podcasts. We've done 198. We're almost to 200. That's crazy. So I'm very excited about that. And Anna, thank you for giving me a challenge. I love a challenge. I shouldn't say that. She's going to give me more challenges. All right. We'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.